Perfect. So welcome, everyone. You need to be probably a little bit tired from whole day here and sitting at the presentation. So as the first, and also because I'm a little bit nervous, I would like to do some activity. So let's everyone stand up if you can. Perfect. Yeah, let's stretch the legs before the party tonight. So what we will be talking today is governance. So probably everyone have some governance tokens, but I would like to know who from you have already used it, like who have been voting on the governance. So if you, perfect, you can raise your hand, but who have not been voting can sit down. So you can relax. And perfect, so we still have majority of the room standing up, it's good. Thank you for being involved in governance, because governance is everyone's job. And the next question is, who has get some delegation from someone else and vote with those tokens? So who out of you is maybe steward or delegate, and it's kind of like professional governance player. So if you are, please stand. If you are not, sit down. Okay, we still have a few. So actually what we will be talking today, it's really about those kind of guys. Like, so look at them. Like, they are the professional governance experts. They are involved in governance. Please sit down. There's no other question. I'm also a delegate myself. So I hope I'm doing a good job for the ones delegated to me, and also for the underlying protocol I am voting on, which is the most important. So that was just for the beginning, but something about myself and why I'm here. So I'm Puncar in Web3. Someone might know me as Jan. I've been in the space, let's say, since 2017, but mostly active like last year, and I really focus on governance. You can see some logos here, you might recognize some of those. Like, those are institutions I'm involved in, and I'm really trying to help there, like, facilitate the collaboration between those. So I am delegated maker on behalf of Llama. I'm also in DAO operations at Gitcoin, so helping to run the DAO. I'm one of the co-founders at Bankless Consulting, and we are providing services to other DAOs, how they can be run. And I've been working very closely with Coop, where actually they taught me what meta-governance is. And what actually is meta-governance, or governance itself? So I found this definition at UNESCO website, because I think it's good to have like some legitimate source when you are talking about something. It just looks much cooler. So governance, it's represent the norms, values, and the rules of the game. And I think that's a simple definition. The overall definition at UNESCO is like 2 pages, and we can definitely use something more complex. And one of the more complex definition, and I still haven't memorized it, governance is structure, processes that are designed to ensure accountability, transparency, responsiveness, rule of law, stability, equity, and inclusiveness, empowerment, and broad-based participation. Yes, it is, but I still think like rule of the game is just much simpler, and it says pretty much the same. And I have these 3 pictures here, and each of them has basically some governance within it, within like what this is representing. So another activity. So any of you could describe governance from either situation, maybe in like 1-2 sentences? Any volunteer? Anyone play Catan? Yes, please. How you would describe Catan?
I would describe Catan as rules to create a fun game where one person is a winner.
Yeah, fun. I think fun is the important part. Like, we want to create fun when we have some game, but the rules are there to be like fair, to be fair for everyone. So like, you know, one will be the winner, but everyone can play because we know what's the rules of the game. This was easy one. Anyone knows like the middle one? I think that's the hardest one. So. Yeah, and what is the governance there, or?
Dining etiquette,
And do you know why we have that?
so we don't spit on each other's faces while we're eating.
Yeah, I think it's good. Like, it's basically like we want to be organized while eating at the same table, so we don't hit each other and so on. There are some even historical reasons, so you know nobody's like worried that the other guy or other person has a gun under the table and so on. And basically, that's the governance structure we have. It probably was for safety, now it's more for like just not hitting each other. And when we talk about safety, I think that's the last one as well. Like, we have it in each country. We don't really think about it that much. We just, you know, abide most of the time by that for the safety. Because we, like, if, you know, someone will be on the left side, someone on the right side, like, it will be probably, like, too complex to, like, navigate each other and so on. So all of this has some goals, you know, fun, not hitting or spitting on each other, and safety. And this is important also for governance. Like, before we design any governance structure, we need to have goal in mind. We cannot do it the other way around. Like, we cannot design governance and then looking for the goal. Like, we need to have the goal first. And this is really just to align on, like, also methodology I will be using later. Like, governance is about people. Like, we are here as a people. Like, we can have some rules, but if we are not abiding by them, like, doesn't really matter. So, and there are like different groups, different stakeholders within DAOs. The largest pool, you can see it here, like are the token holders. So people who are, you know, owning, let's say, some governance tokens. They might not be really involved, but they are the one actually having all the governance power. Then there are the DAO members, which are, you know, hanging out in Discord, sometimes contribute, maybe share opinion, but, you know, not like full-time stuff or so. And they are the DAO contributors, the smallest pool out of those three. Those are the people who are actually running the DAO and who are like developing the products and who are bringing like revenue and bringing, you know, new features to the product and so on. But they are the smallest one. And I think this, when we look at this, like, token holders are this largest pool, and they are not even involved sometimes. And DAO contributors are the smallest, and they are like, you know, trying to run everything. And I think there is actually kind of why governance might not work in DAO. It's because the incentives are not aligned. What are the incentives like in the traditional corporation? Like, corporation has the incentives to like create the most of the value for shareholders. That's kind of how every corporation is run, or most of them. And I think that token voting and the DAO governance at the moment, it's basically the same. Like, all the token holders are incentivized to buy low, sell high. And kind of that's like the majority, I would say. And then we have the other group, what I was talking to, which are the DAO contributors, which has totally different incentives because they are here for the long term. They trying to build something. They are building product. They are bringing revenue. They are bringing the cash flow. The cash flow is for them like really important and kind of has the momentum building. And when we look at it, like, those groups should be working together. Like, token holders should be kind of checking on the DAO contributors and keep them accountable. But sometimes, like, and I heard that on the talk earlier, like, we are jumping into conclusions really fast. Like, if there was the crash on the market, everything went down, and basically token holders in many DAOs said, okay, it was fun, but now everyone's out. Like, kind of like cutting costs immediately, not believing in like the product vision and so on. And I think this is something we need to work on, and we need to create more alignment between those two groups to really make the governance work. And if we create the alignment between those two groups, like it will be very easy to solve the rest of the issues I have listed. Voter apathy, like why people are not voting? Because what is there for me? Like, why I would spend my time voting if there is no upside? And exactly, that's basically tied to the incentives. Too complex decision-making process. Even if people are trying to vote, they are like, I don't even know what I'm voting for, how it will be executed, and so on. It's kind of all Greek to them. Or how I would say in my native language, it's Spanish village to me. And you know, they try once and then they are like, okay, giving up. And if they get past that and they really get to know what actually they are doing and how, but they don't have enough time, then they will be voting on something with very limited knowledge. And I'm not sure what is better, if like voting and you know, not voting or voting with limited knowledge. Because what can happen? And they either vote with the majority, and you know, I believe some of you are done that as well. I did that. Like, if there is a 90% or 95% for already, and I'm coming in and to vote, I'm like, yeah, probably everyone is voting for, so why not me? And I'm just voting for as well without reading the proposal. Or it can be the other way around. I'm coming in and I'm making my own opinion with limited knowledge, and I'm making noise, but maybe with no reason, because like it will be just like, it has been already discussed and it doesn't really matter at the end. So we are still kind of having issue even though people are voting. And where I think it's kind of like heading to, it's like lack of strategy at some DAOs. Like the DAOs, when they've been created, they published a white paper, they had great vision, they execute on it, let's say in some way, but then they grow large and they have not been updating on it. There is no update on the white paper, there is no update on the strategy, circumstances change, and so on. And there is either like nothing is getting done because nobody knows what to do, or everything is trying to be done at the same time. So you have various groups heading different directions. And I think that's not good either. Like, there is no way that we can all head west if there is no like path or direction for us. Like, if I tell you go west, like you don't see sun here, where you will go? Okay, so some people there, maybe some people on the other end. So, and this is what we are seeing in the space as well. So everything seems that it's really bad. I'm sorry about that, being really pessimistic at the beginning, but it's not. Like, we have created something better than it used to be in the corporations. And I think the main part, and what I'm trying to stress every time, is cooperation. We have much stronger cooperation, and we should build on top of that, not leave it behind. Like, cooperation and openness, like, this is really critical for our common success. Corporations are having, you know, IP on everything, so nobody can use it. We don't generally have it. Like, we open source all our code. So let's just build on it. Let's just not open source just the code, but like kind of open source ourselves and like really start collaborating. And everything with it, it's kind of like connected to that. Like, we can have resources across the DAOs because there is no like competitive clause or something like that. And some more. Maybe let me pause here just to grab a little water. But do you think there is something I missed? Like, what we are better than Web 2? What in Web 3 works better? Okay, I'm happy that you agree with what I have listed and you don't have any addition to it. Thank you. So, and how we can build on the cooperation. There is really a lot of cooperation already on the product level. As I said, open source code. Like, we are building on each other code all the time. Like, if any developer is here, I believe like there is none of you who has not touched open source software. So why we are not progressing on this kind of collaboration also in the governance sense, like in the kind of people sense, like working with each other. And there is like maybe like this direct relationship model where we can really like build the connection between those communities. Like Maker can help Index maybe onboard some collateral like DPI on Maker platform, or Index as the large token holder of Maker, thanks to their product, can help them facilitate some governance decision, some strategic decision, and so on. But why they are maybe not doing that? Because they don't have time. Like there is like, it requires, as we mentioned at the beginning, it requires a lot of effort to be voting. It requires a lot of effort to be involved in another protocol. So they have their own stuff, and they really would love to leverage those kind of synergies, but there are not resources available for it. And that's why I think like there is better model for that, which is like governance as a service model. It's where we are plugging someone like those delegates, myself, within that, which are helping to facilitate that synergies. And it can really work in the way and how it's set up now as I'm delegate at the Maker. I can help execute the votes at Maker, and Index can delegate the votes, and that's something we are working on, or the Maker to me, so I can do that on their behalf. And because they know me, I have been working and I'm cooperating with the Index, like they will be like, happy that we can facilitate that kind of relationship without them spending on resources. And this is just one example out of many. I think this kind of professionalism in this space needs to come like on those connectors. So when we have this type of relationships and we just don't have time to do it, we can have someone who specializes on it and help on that. And what's the difference between maybe single individual delegate and what I'm suggesting here is behind every of those logos, let's say the llama here, is a team. So I'm at the Maker, but I'm not there alone. I'm maybe the point person, but there is a whole llama team which is like 50 resources behind, and I can always kind of ask them to help me with something what I might not understand because the space is so complex that probably none of the individuals can. And maybe that's better to next slide. And there is also other professional firms as a Bankless consulting, like who are maybe not focusing on the delegation and governance for DeFi, but building something for the new protocol. So maybe building the governance structure, find the goal with you and facilitating it. Like I have seen many good projects in the space, but like I don't think every project is capturing every aspect of it. Like there are always the core members of it, and then like we can help them with that kind of cooperation to strengthen their capabilities with plugging in those kind of additional resources which are very flexible. And I just listed some of the services they are, but I think I'm running out of time. So just what I want to say by this is I think we should cooperate more in this space, and I think we should really leverage the strength of individual kind of DAOs and projects, not to create super DAOs, which will be large and trying to cover everything, but rather decentralize it and have those specialized DAOs to really do what they are the best to do and go with it. And that's it from me. Any questions?
Hi, thanks for the talk. So my question to you is, why do you see it as a big problem having these groups of contributors, token holders, members of the DAO? I mean, for me, this is like a replica of real life, right? Where you have, for example, in Switzerland, you have direct democracy. So everybody votes on a weekly basis or bi-weekly basis, but not everybody votes. Some people are not interested, some people are interested. Some people are delegating their votes to, for example, the parties they vote for, and stuff like that. So why do you see it as a dysfunctional governance? For me, at least in my opinion, I see it as a normal replica of real life. And how do you see this problem? How do you want to incentivize these token holders to be more involved in this case?
Great question. So I know about Switzerland, but I have not been really like, making an analysis on that or so. But direct democracy in general, like, create a lot of overhead. And as you said, like, some people are just not interested and some are. And I think in this space, when we are moving fast and like the topics are very specific, it's important to have kind of the decision made and also the decision made by someone who understands that. And most of the token holders, and that's not really something bad. Like, I don't understand like 50% of the stuff probably, because like I just not involved. I'm involved mostly in governance. If someone show me code, maybe I can read it, but I probably don't know what it does. And I think we need that kind of professionalism in that. Means like someone needs to kind of say, yeah, this we should go with. This is aligned with our strategy, with our vision, and the team knows how to execute it. And that's really what I'm saying. Like, enable those token holders to delegate their votes to someone who they can trust and who can execute basically what they want to execute, but maybe they just not understand the topic. And just kind of built on top of that, like, delegated governance already, I think, proved itself. Like, Gitcoin started with it, really, and like now Optimism kind of adopting it as well. And I think it's just like a better model at the moment. We are still testing it, but that's kind of where I see it can make the next step from individuals to professional teams, because the topics are very complex. Any other question?
Okay. Last question, please.
How do you see bribing sustainable in the voting industry, in the governance industry?
So,
do you see that as a thing that will perdure as the industry goes, or is this something that we should be eliminated?
Yeah, I'm not sure if I will say it correctly, but it's like, show me your incentives and I will show you what happens. I think those economic incentives which are illegal, maybe in like traditional world, like here as we are like working in this really like, there are incentives on everything. Like, I think it will be just part of it. We just need to make sure that we are incentivized the good behavior. Like, someone can be bad actor. It just should not be worth it. Did I answer your question? Okay, perfect. So I think I don't have any time for next question, but thank you very much for coming, and see you around.